Hey guys, this is Zach with ECS Tuning, and today we're going to be doing a DIY on a cam follower replacement on an FSI engine. We're going to be using that pristine 2006 8PA3, and we'll get into it in just a minute, but first we want to talk about what we're replacing. So the FSI engine is a direct injection engine, one of the earliest adopters of direct injection. FSI stands for fuel stratified injection. Direct injection requires really high fuel pressure. So to get that fuel pressure, Volkswagen bolted a mechanical high-pressure fuel pump to the head. And it is driven by a big triangular Wankel rotor-looking lobe on the end of the intake camshaft. That lobe pushes this plunger in and out over and over and creates really high fuel pressure. Sitting on the end of this plunger is the cam follower. And now the cam follower and the camshaft aren't quite as hard as they should be, so they both wear out very prematurely. And this will actually wear right all the way through and wipe out your fuel pump if you let it. But we'll show you how to replace them so you never let it get that bad. Now Volkswagen did put out a revised camshaft that is harder, and you don't have to do such a short interval. But if you don't feel like replacing your camshaft, replacing the follower every 30-40,000 miles is not that hard. So we'll show you how to do it, and first we're gonna go over the tools. All right, so we've got a 17mm box wrench, a 13mm box wrench, and then this is an M8. This is actually part of our Schwaben Stubby Socket Driver Kit. You can probably get any M8 bit to work, but the Stubby Socket Driver is really the best tool for the job, and it makes it easy. So I really recommend that. So you'll either need an M8 or a pair of needle nose pliers. Somewhere in the 2006 model year, there's a VIN split. Anything before it has a banjo bolt with an M8. Anything after it has just a rubber hose on a barb fitting with a hose clamp. So then we've got a pick, a little inspection flashlight to make sure everything's in good shape, a T30 with a short extension, 3/8 ratchet, and a 3/8 torque wrench. And then over here we have our replacement kit. You can find a link in the description below. It includes replacement hardware, O-ring, and cam follower. So we've already got our engine cover and intake assembly removed. If you need help removing that, check the link in the description below to a DIY we made a while ago that will show you how to remove it. So now that we have that removed, we can see our high pressure fuel pump, and this is where we'll be working. So the first step is going to be to get some stuff out of the way so we've got a little bit better access to the fuel pump. So we're just gonna pop out this PCV hose, this vacuum line, and then we will disconnect our electrical connectors. This one's kind of chewed up. So the high pressure fuel pump operates with a very high pressure. So there's always some residual pressure that we need to get out of there before we go any further. So we're gonna unscrew this little plastic cap, and that will expose a Schrader valve. So I've got a little pick, but anything that you can fit in there that won't damage it, you can put up there, and you'll just press the center of the valve and obviously have a rag in place to catch your fuel. And that should do it. Okay, so now that pressure is relieved, we're ready to actually remove the Schrader valve so we can get better access to this T30 bolt. So the Schrader valve is a 13. Just get a box wrench on there and break her loose. And then we got a little more fuel coming out. Get a rag back in there. Okay. So we'll disconnect our fuel feed line first. It's a 17. Pretty easy. We'll probably get some more fuel, so keep that rag handy. Okay, with that loose, we're ready to remove the other line, which is a banjo bolt, which is probably the most difficult to get to of this whole job, but the Schwaben Stubby Socket Set should make it pretty easily. So we're ready to remove the banjo bolt. It's an M8. There's a few ways to get to it, but the easiest of which is to use a stubby socket driver like this one. This is our Schwaben kit, and it's just a 12mm box wrench with some little bits that go in the ratcheting end. So we'll get this in there, and you need to make sure that you get the bit actually fully seated in the banjo bolt, because the last thing you want to do is strip this thing out. There we go.
Now, not all cars have this banjo bolt. Some used a barb fitting and a rubber hose. We will show you one of those, but we wanted to do it on something with the banjo bolt because it's a little bit more difficult. Okay, so the last thing you need to do before you can pull your fuel pump is to remove these 3 T30 bolts. And we will be replacing these. Our kit, which you can find in a link in the description below, includes replacement bolts. Okay, there's our pump, and here is our cam follower. Let's see what kind of shape it's in. Not too bad. Starting to wear through the hardened coating though. So the cam follower didn't look too terrible, but regardless of what it looks like, it's always a good idea to check the condition of your cam lobe, the thing that actually drives the cam follower. And you can see in there, it looks brand new. So it looks fine, so all we need to do now is replace the cam follower and put this thing back together. Okay, so over here on the bench, we are going to replace this O-ring. New O-ring is also supplied in the cam follower kit. So we'll pull off the old O-ring and then make sure the groove is clean and free of debris. All right, so now with relatively clean hands, we're going to start reassembling. We're going to start with this O-ring. Get a little bit of oil on it, help things seal up. And work it down onto its groove. Okay, now we're ready to lube up the cam follower, put it in place. All right, so here we've got the old one and the new one, and you can see the difference. You can see the wear on the old one. So now we're going to go ahead and put our new one in. First thing we need to do is lube it up to prevent from any galling on a dry start. So we'll put some oil around the outside of it. All right, so just a drop of assembly lube. And we'll spread that around the face, and that's ready to go in. All right, now we're ready to put our pump back in place with our new bolts. Wiggle that O-ring in there. All right. All right, so we want to get these all snugged down pretty evenly, and then we will introduce our torque wrench. Okay, so they're snugged. The torque spec on these is 7.5 foot-pounds, and you're going to want to kind of do them in sequence like this. Don't just torque one down while the others are loose. And this is important too because it's pretty easy to strip the threads out in the actual engine. And if you do that, then you're going to have to helicoil and just go through a bunch of stuff that you don't need to do. So if you mind your torque spec and actually torque these down correctly, you should be okay. Double check. All right, now from here on out, reinstallation is pretty much the reverse of removal. The only thing you really need to pay attention to is getting that banjo bolt back in correctly. You want to make sure you get it threaded in straight, not cross-threaded, so make sure to start it with your fingers and run it in a few turns before you put a wrench back on it. All right guys, it is as simple as that. It only took a few minutes and it was really easy. So if you're looking at something with an FSI engine, don't be scared away by the cam follower issues because we just showed you how easy it is to check and replace your cam follower. And it's not that expensive either. So head on over to ecstuning.com to get your cam follower replacement kit or whatever else you might need.
Other than that, throw a like down on this video and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We'll see you guys next time.